to all. I have talked about seismic structural interpretation using couple of seismic line on a base map. We have interpreted each of these seismic line for horizon number 1 and we have seen how to interpret those seismic sections. We have picked the horizon 1 on the peak and we have used phantoming wherever there is loss of data or maybe some lithological changes. However, we were very careful as far as cycle skipping is concerned, as far as cycle splitting is concerned. However, we need to check how good was the interpretation before taking those times and posting on the base map. We will prepare pseudo sections or pseudo seismic section. The first section which I will be preparing, I will be using line 1, then I will be using line 4, I come back to line 2, I then use line 5 and come back to line 1 where I started. So at these nodes, I am taking help of 2 lines. And the interpretation should be having the same time whether I come from this direction or I come from this direction, the time should be unique, and that is the test. So this first small loop which I am talking about is shown by this counter, by the clockwise arrow here, and I am using this pseudo section to see how the tie has happened. This is the acoustic impedance boundary or the horizon 1 which I wanted to interpret, and I can see that if I have done a good interpretation, at this nodal point we will have the same unique time and my interpretation looks good. However, if I have not done a good job, then at this I may have a seismic full. So my interpretation is not correct. So I have a time lag here which I need to correct. If it is not like that and the interpretation was good, then I will get something like that, this, which shows that I have done a good job. But once again, if there is a lag here, and then I did an interpretation which is quite good at this node, then I may have a lag here and I may have a lower lag here. So that means I have not done a good job, because there are 4 crossings and these 4 crossings should have unique time, whether I interpret north-south or east-west. So if the loop is correct, I am happy. If the loop is not correct, I have to go back to my original interpretation and see whether I missed a fault, whether I did a cycle skipping, or whether I have moved from peak to trough or peak to zero crossing. So all those checks has to be starting from the first line where I have started my interpretation. If I have done a good job, I then check the next loop. In this way, I will be checking first the small loop. I can see here that there are 4 small loops which are there, which need to be checked in the same process. After I am very happy with the interpretation in loop number 1, loop number 2, loop number 3 and loop number 4, I will do the same thing for the bigger loops. So now the loop is this one and I do the same test for the bigger loop. I have loop 1 and I have loop 2. Once I am happy with that also, I go to the biggest loop, which is I go from 1, I then go to 4, and then from 4 I come back to line number 3, then to line number 6, and then once again back to line number 1. So I have checked the biggest loop and I found that wherever there is a crossing, I have done a good interpretation and there is no lag or there is no pull up which is there in my interpretation. So that is how we check the integrity of our interpretation. Once we are happy with the small loop time, the medium loop time and the full loop time, we are now ready to post two-way time on the base map. Which horizon we have mapped? We have mapped only one horizon at this moment. So we will be posting all the time which are on the short points, and we will try to conclude the same. You have seen the base map once again. I would like to prepare a map at horizon number 1. I have interpreted the horizon 1, I have done loop time, and I am confident that the interpretation is good. Now I want to know the structural highs and lows based on the two-way time. So I pick the two-way time which I have interpreted and I put on all the short points. At this juncture where we have line number 1 with line number 4, this unique point should have a unique two-way time. Whether we have interpreted from line number 1 or we have interpreted from line number 4, this point should be unique. We post all the time and which on each of these short points, and after posting all the time we need to contour it. Suppose we have a contour of 1 second interval and it looks like this. We have to identify whether this is a high or this is a low. So if we take a cross section on A dash and this is A dash, then we can see that at the center we have a structural high because the two-way time is increasing as we go deeper. And at the flanks we have high two-way time. We have low two-way time on the crest and we have high two-way time on the flank. If we join it, we get the antiphon. So this is a structural high which may have hydrocarbon. Why am I saying it may have hydrocarbon? Because the timing is important. Whether the structure has been formed before the oil got migrated or the structure has formed after the oil got migrated. So if the structure was formed first and then the oil migration has happened, and we have impervious layer at the top which is called a cap, it will hold the hydrocarbon and we will get a boundary where we will have oil or gas on the upper part and we will have water below. So this boundary is called the oil water boundary or gas water boundary, depending on whether this prospect is filled with oil or gas. That's how you need to do structural interpretation. That's how you need to prepare your lead or prospect map. And in a base map at that level, we may have several such prospects which may be structural in nature, which is four-way closure, or we may have get closures against a fault and we may have fault closures. Thank you very much.